we're going to take a look at a very particular marketing skill that came up in one of the podcast episodes we've had recently with Jordan Mendoza, who wrote the book and has a great podcast, if you haven't checked it out yet, called Blazing Your Own Trail. So a quick plug to Jordan, because that is an amazing podcast and even better book. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the idea of storytelling. I've seen way too often entrepreneurs who are put on stages, maybe a podcast or maybe a speech or a talk or anywhere, and what they say doesn't resonate with the audience because they get right to the product, or they get right to the thesis, or they get right to the point they're making, but they don't really sell themselves. They don't tell a engaging story like Jordan does. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. The three parts of a good story to help you explain your business, and the things that and motivate you, the things that are going to help you sell your product, your business, your services, right? Three parts talking today. Number one, the defining tension. Every powerful story has to start with some kind of friction. You meet the audience where they are, what they're experiencing. Is it the same as the pain point that you experienced when you first started your journey? And you want to be relatable. You want to be able to hit them where they're at, and you want to be able to connect. And that's the very first. That's identifying your audience. That's knowing who you're talking to. That's choosing your avatar. Any way you write it up, the defining tension is how you start your story. You can make it, maybe something left you unstable. Maybe you believed in something other people didn't. Maybe you were frustrated with a broken system. There's lots of different tension points. For me, it was, for example, I was in a space that I needed to get more leads and more attention and make more connections. And I needed to separate myself from all the others in my field. So, well, at the same time, I started seeing lots of box stores and chain stores starting to starve out and close down some of the local businesses in my community. And so I saw it as a two-pronged tension. Me trying to grow my business, and I was out of leads, I was out of people I knew, and I was ready to go to the next stage, and I didn't want to buy cold leads, and I didn't think that was a very comfortable way of growing my business. And at the same time, I also saw the need to help and support the local businesses in my community. So those were the tensions that were going on when I started my story. And you have to think about yours. What were some of the tensions? What are some of the things that caused you to start your business, to have a change of heart, to, inspire you? And that's part one. Part two is the decision point. It's not about wandering around. It's about choosing and making a path for yourself. It has to be a moment. Maybe you said no to something that was you were saying yes to, that changed the trajectory of your career, that changed the pathway of your life. Maybe you pivoted. You were doing something one way and saw an opportunity to do something different, do something better, and you moved. And our cliche word that every entrepreneur uses, and you pivoted. Or maybe you took a risk on something. Maybe you saw there was an opportunity and you wanted to go all in, and you saw that as a risk that you had to take in order to make your situation better. This is what makes it your story and gives the audience hope that they too can make that kind of change. The more relatable you are, the more connection you'll make. You want to show the decision that they have to make as it pertains to the brand builder, right? This is the thing that I had to do to change my life. This is the moment. This is the thing that, if you're listening to my speech or my talk as an audience member, the thing you have to decide you want to do in order to take that next step with me and my business. For example, for me, it was when I decided to be a local connector. I kind of made a pivot. I wanted to be somebody who intentionally gave to the local businesses in my community. I wanted to show them that there were people on their side that wanted to see them do well. I wanted to see them succeed. So I made the pivot from just buying or thinking about doing cold leads, or doing the same old stuff that I was doing, to a pivot to local community focus, right? And you have to be clear on when and why you chose that lane. And you're bringing the people along, right? So again, your step one is the tension the pain point that you were experiencing. And then two is the decision point. This is the moment where I decided that I was going to make things different. I was going to make my life different. I was going to change things. And so as you speak and as you talk and as you give your story, you're inviting people in. You're bringing them into your story. You're making it very relatable. You're just a regular person, and the audience that's listening to this, they can be on board. They too can make a big change. And then we have our stage three. Stage three is the outcome, the framework, that what you discovered after you made that decision and after you overcame. Your story is not just about what happened, it's about what you now teach or what you now do or what you now believe because of it. It's about who you are and how you mastered and amplified your systems and strategies. And you want to make sure you keep it simple, keep it straightforward, make it digestible, make it one thing. Don't make it 20 or 30 things. This is the one outcome that you can expect if you also take this kind of journey like I did. And you want to be sure that the audience can clearly see the transformation you made. Here's the person I was. Here's the problem I saw. Here's the pivot or adjustment I made. Here's the outcome and how my life is now better. Everybody loves those stories. For example, so now I have my course and I've done other things. I've done some group coaching, I've done a book, but I have a course now that I can share my framework. And in all the things that I do, I share my framework. I share the systems, the beliefs, the local business referral strategies that I've been using for all those years. That's the framework. That's the system. That's the beliefs that I continue to teach and continue to go over with my audience. So that is the framework, the thing that I discovered, how simple it could be to make such a change in my life, right? And it was part of my story now. It's part of my referral based story, my live local referral story. So as you work on your brand, your speaking, your story, be sure it has all three elements. Now, if you're a master speaker and you've gone well and above and beyond that, good on you. But you want to start with this foundation, especially if you're talking to people and they're like, I don't get it, or you're not resonating with people, or it's just not landing with them. Go back and look. All right, do I have these 3 points? Do I have the tension? Do I have the decision point that I decided to change things? And do I have now the framework or what I discovered at the end? You have to have these 3 points. Make it very simple on yourself. Be sure that your story, that your pitch, that your when you're in podcasts or when you're on a stage, that these come out. You can lead with it. You can make it part of somewhere in between. You can make it at the end. Probably someplace earlier in the beginning so people can resonate and know why it is that you're doing what you're doing. Um, but yeah, be sure you have your story. Be sure you have it clear and be sure you have people on board that can relate to you. And if it's not relatable, adjust. As simple as can be. So there you go. So that is the pitch today. And like I said, if you haven't followed Jordan, be sure you do. He's got an amazing story of overcoming the odds and working hard and no excuses. That is very inspirational. And as I do the podcast, I find others do have that similar story. The details might be a little bit different. Everybody's got their own origin stories. Or I always call it my superhero origin stories when I'm guesting on podcasts. But we all have our origin stories where this is the moment where we decided to become the superhero and to take over our story. And we have to inspire and we've got to let people on board with our story and show them that they too can do it. And that if they just follow or do the thing that you're asking to do, the call to action, that they also can be a winner and that can also enjoy the success that you're having. So 10 minutes, as always, promised. There we are. So now we're going to move on to the questions and answers that you have about your own marketing. And yeah, thanks for joining in. And remember that if you also want to have your questions and answers for your marketing, just go to the website and become a member. That is the easiest and best ways to get the help that you need, the advice, be part of a local referral marketing community. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this information helpful. Each week, I'll pick a different topic I see happening out in the world of marketing and go over it with you to help you become a better, warm marketer. Now, you noticed in this episode, we cut off the Q&A portion of it because that's for members only. To become a member, go to livelocalwarmmarketing.com. livelocal.com. You can sign up for that first month using the code alwayswinning for $2. And then every Tuesday, you can bring your own personal marketing questions that we can answer and work on together. You'll also get access to the resource library. It has plenty of videos about more marketing tips, strategies, things to help you become a better marketer as well. We have monthly workshops. And of course, we have the weekly content calendar that's uploaded every Monday that takes one more thing off your plate because it gives you a theme and goes over the types of content you could be posting throughout the week. All of that for $2 in the first month. Live local, warm marketing.com. Become a member today.